Welcome to the plane of magic.
During the war, he was given charge of Jared Capashen and his guardian, the Silver Golem Karn. Condor raised Jared as his son, placing him alongside his true son Vuel in the hierarchy of the clan. Tana was abandoned in the woods as a child. For unknown reasons, she was taken in by a pod of fungal saplings who protected her from the wild. The girl has grown into a feral prowler and viciously hunts any trespassers to feed her sapling caretakers. Naya is one of 5 shards of Alara. It is primarily green aligned with red and white as secondary colors. Sidar Kondo of Jamura. For 2 generic mana, a white and a green, we get a 2/5 legendary human knight with 2 passive abilities. Flanking. Creatures your opponent control without flying or reach can't block creatures with power 2 or less. And partnered with Tana the Bloodsower. For 2 generic mana, a red and a green, we get a 2/2 legendary trampling elf druid. Whenever Tana the Bloodsower deals combat damage to a player, create that many green sapling creatures. This triggered ability is greatly paired with the passive ability of Sidar Kondo. He will make Tana unblockable that will guarantee a hit from her, which would produce saplings depending on the combat damage she dealt. If left unchecked, Tana can completely swarm the board with saplings. The main goal of this build is to stack our opponents while swarming the board with saplings and triggering the ability of Winota Joiner of Forces. Since attacking is one of the main win con of this deck, the saplings and Tana will play a huge part in triggering Winota and slamming the human stacks pieces. Human utility cards and Angrat's Marauder, which can snipe us a win or instantly kill one of our opponents if we got him from the trigger of Winota. We chose Sidar over Timna because we want to explore on the colors of Naya and try to bring out the strategy of the color combinations. Sidar also greatly synergizes with the deck even if Winota is not on the battlefield, because majority of the deck's creature has 2 power. Tana is also a 2 power creature which can easily swarm the battlefield with saplings due to the evasion that Sidar provides. Adding Winota helped boost the power and capability of the deck. With the absence of black and blue colors, we lose a lot of hate bears and powerful tutors. The best hate bears we can rely on are mostly humans, which makes Winota a viable option in the deck. Hate bears will play a huge part of the deck because they will buy us time in closing the game with our combo or overrun our opponents to death. Searching is one of the mechanics of every deck. That is why even Mind Sensor will help limit the search at the top 4 cards of the deck. If our opponents rely on their commanders, decks like Najila, Kes, and Corvold, Granite Magistrate would be great at stopping our opponents from casting their commander, or even the value cards such as Past in Flames and Yawgmoth's Will, or even Through the Breach. Either Swarm Canonist will be great at stopping the Spellslinger commanders like Kes Dissident Mage, or preventing our opponents from comboing off. Harsh Mentor would be great at shocking our opponents every time they activate a non-mana ability. Linvala would be great at shutting down opponents from activating creature abilities like Kenrit, Najila, Yisan, Tasigur, and Thrasios. Magos of the Moon would be great at disrupting our opponents, especially most of the decks run non-basic lands. Since most of our creatures are at 2 power, a great way to add some punch would be Oran Frostfang, to provide death touch on attacking creatures, which will make our opponents think twice if they would want to trade their creature or just take the damage. Having problems with reanimative strategies like Meren, Scavenging Ooze would be perfect for the job. He can instantly remove creatures or any cards that is in the graveyard. Thalia Guardian of Thraben and Thalia Heretic Cathar will be great at disrupting the tempo plays of our opponents to give us a leeway in setting up our board. We have gathered the best humans we can get from the Naya colors. and they will be great in synergizing with the deck. Humans that will provide us card advantage, such as Mentor of the Meek, which can be greatly paired with the saplings Tana produces. Supira Tulzidika Ravener. It can provide evasion to most of our creatures since most of the time we will be needing resources. Subira will be great providing cards, especially if the activated ability is partnered with Sidar Kondo's passive ability. Mangara would surely give us a lot of cards if it is left unchecked on the battlefield, especially if our opponents try to focus fire on us or if they attempt to cast multiple spells this turn. If we need to find legendary creatures that are silver bullets, Captain Sisei will be perfect for the job. If we need to protect a creature, Mother of Runes will be there guarding our creatures and can also be greatly paired with Giver of Runes. We run tutors that can help us search creatures in our deck, and the best part of it is it has a body. Cards like Recruiter of the Guard, Imperial Recruiter, and Ranger Captain of Eos, which can be a great call from Winota's trigger. Not only will they be a +1 on the battlefield, but will also give us a +1 in our hand. The best among the three is Ranger Captain of Eos. He has an activated ability that can shut down one opponent for one turn, especially when we are about to combo out or overrun our opponent. There will be cards in the late game that will not be reliable or no longer be needed. That is why Seasoned Pyromancer will shine at filtering out cards in our hand, and if they are non-land cards, we get a 1/1 red elemental token, which will later on help Winota trigger, or just a scary 1/1 with Death Touch with Auron Frostfang. The reason why we run these human creatures is due to Winota's ability. Whenever a non-human creature you control attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a human creature card from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains indestructible until end of turn. Put the rest of the cards on the bottom of your library in random order. The best part about the ability is she can make the newly called human indestructible, which is safe from dying when those creatures are blocked. The best human creature that Winota can call is Angret's Rampage. If a source you control would deal damage to a permanent or a player, it deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. His passive ability can end games in an instant, once it is on the battlefield, or even kill one of the problematic creatures with one swing, especially if those creatures are provided with the evasion from Sidar Kondo. Luca Coppercoat will be great in giving us a chance to get creature cards from his first loyal ability, especially if we top deck this card after a board wipe. The second ability will also be great to target the saplings Tana produced. His last ability can also be a great way to deal the last damage to the opponent to win us the game, which is not hard to achieve since Luca already starts with a high loyalty. We run a lot of tutors to consistently get Winota to pressure our opponents, or find hate bears to buy us time in setting up our combo or overrun our opponents. A great way to utilize the green creatures is to partner it with Winota. Search for the human creature that we need, attack with the non-human creature, trigger Winota, look at the top 6 cards of the deck, then get the human you search and placed on the top of the deck. This way, you are guaranteed to get the human you really need instead of randomly getting a human. We run a decent amount of interaction to slow down our opponents or disrupt our opponents. Cards like Force of Vigor and Nature's Claim to destroy the mana rocks of our opponents to slow them down, or their win con, Isochrome Scepter, Red Elemental Blast, and Veil of Summer to save us from a counterspell, Path to Exile, and Swords to Plowshare to exile problematic creatures or deal with commanders like Najila and Kenrith. Noxious Revival to recycle a spell from our graveyard, or to disrupt a reanimation spell from our opponent. Stacks pieces will also help achieve our goals. The best turn 1 stacks we can get is Root Maze. Its presence on the battlefield will surely slow down the game. If our opponents has a lot of cheap and inefficient spells, Greeny Spear will be great to stacks on those spells to slow down our opponents from spells plinging and getting value. Stranglehold will be great at preventing our opponent from searching the deck, and it will be great in holding off the decks that combo off using extra turns, commanders like Taigam and Endrick. Deafening Silence will also be great in holding off spellslinger decks like Kess Dissident Mage. We are not really affected by this effect because we focus on casting creature spells. Another way to slow down our opponents is from the mana base. That is why Blood Moon would be perfect for the job. Null Rod to stop our opponents from ramping out using mana rocks. Aura Silence will also be good at slowing down the artifact slinging decks like Urza and Joyra. We don't run mana dorks cause we will not really use a lot of mana for this deck to operate. That is why mana rocks is a much better way in ramping. Carpet of Flowers will also help us ramp up if we are against blue decks. To consistently cast spells, we run 31 lands, fetch lands and command tower like lands that will help us fix our colors. The primary win con of the deck is the Kiki-Jiki Infinite Token line. The main goal of the combo is Kiki-Jiki will copy Felidar Guardian. Felidar Guardian ETV will trigger. Flicker Kiki-Jiki, do this infinite times. Every time you do this, you will create a token with a haste which will attack at the combat step. The best way to assemble this combo is using Birthing Pod and a 3 mana cost creature. Activate Birthing Pod, sacrifice the 3 mana cost creature, search for Felidar Guardian, then flicker Birthing Pod using Felidar Guardian's ETB trigger. Activate Birthing Pod again, then sacrifice Felidar Guardian, search for Karmic Guide. Using Karmic Guide's ETB trigger, target Felidar Guardian. Felidar Guardian's ETB will trigger, flicker Birthing Pod. Activate Birthing Pod, and sacrifice Felidar Guardian, then search for Kiki-Jiki. Activate Kiki-Jiki, and copy Karmic Guide. Karmic Guide will trigger, target Felidar Guardian, then target Kiki-Jiki from Felidar Guardian's ETB trigger. Kiki-Jiki will copy Felidar Guardian. Felidar Guardian ETB will trigger, flickering Kiki-Jiki. Do this infinite times. Then, every time you do this, you will create a token with haste which will attack at the combat step. The second way we can win is overrunning our opponents using Elish Norn's ability. Since it is easy for us to flood the board with creatures using Tana's Saplings and Winota's trigger, especially when partnered with Angrat's Rampage. If all else fails, we can just use the synergy between Tana and Sidar Konto to continually pressure our opponents and eventually win the game. If we are lucky, we can use the last ability of Luca to win the game.
At this stage of the game, Sun Title will manifest its true potential. We can recycle the 3 cost or less permanents from the graveyard. Need some fresh cards? Return Seasoned Pyromancer to draw some card or create some blockers. Kiki-Jiki is already in the graveyard? Return Loyal Retainers to reanimate Kiki-Jiki or any legendary creature before attackers are declared. Need to protect Winota or other creatures from removal spells? Return Safi Eric's Daughter so when target creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn, return that card to the battlefield. There are a lot of 3 cost or less permanents that will help you at this stage of the game. The key in effectively using Sun Titan's ability is the knowledge of the pod and a concrete plan that can win you the game.
In general, this is a grindy deck that focuses on aggroing out. You should aggressively mulligan if you don't have the stacks piece and hate bears that will slow down your opponents. The key in piloting this deck is the knowledge of the deck that is in the pod, so you can effectively play the cards in your hand. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell to keep you notified when I upload videos. If you want me to keep making these videos, please like and share this video so we can reach to other players who might want to watch this video. You can also support our channel by following our Facebook page, The Plane of Magic. Subscribe to my Moxville account, Master of Disaster. If you have questions, suggestions on how I can improve my content and my audio, please comment down below. All comments will be highly appreciated because it will help our channel improve and grow. Or you can contact me via my Discord account, Master of Disaster. Shoutout to Sir David Poppins and Sir Vitor from the MTG EDH group and Boss Majay Mukerio for helping me tweak the build. Thank you and welcome to the Plane of Magic.